With countless small tips, tricks, and intricate details in Apex, it is no wonder that there will be game-changing mechanics that will take your Legend mastery to the next level. But sadly, these are kind of poorly documented. So today I will be giving you guys one mechanic per Apex Legend. Let's just get into it. Starting off with Watson. Watson can significantly cut down on the time it takes to lower her weapon and switching to her hands, meaning she can pull off movement techniques that much quicker with the insta-holster. In order to perform an insta-holster, simply press your fence button to swap to your fences, and then you're free to pull off any movement technique that you would like with the instant holster movement velocity. For example, you could pull off a slide jump and swap back to another weapon if you want to throw your enemies off and get an easy kill. This is so much faster than it would be to swap from her weapon to her hand, and it allows you to move around that much earlier. You can use caustic barrels to cancel fall stun. When you drop from the high ground, drop the caustic barrel right under where you think that you are going to land and hold crouch to slide off of the top of it. This also has an added benefit of converting your falling speed into horizontal speed and can be chained into other movement techniques once you're on the ground. I've covered a lot of mechanics for Pathfinder, probably more than any other legend in this video because, there's a lot of mechanics that you can pull off with Pathfinder. But this one is not super well known and allows you to double wall jump as a Pathfinder by utilizing your grapple. In order to do this, start a regular wall jump with a slide jump and then of course the wall bounce. As soon as you've done your first bounce, lead yourself back to the wall with a mid-air lurch or a tap strafe and then grapple, and then immediately cancel the grapple before touching the wall, after which you do another wall bounce or wall jump, and here you go. It's a lot of inputs in a short period of time, but it's so satisfying once you get it down. You can see the outside of the ring through Bangalore's smoke, which means that any targets that are between the smoke and the ring will have their outlines visible. So if you have an enemy in front of you with the ring behind them, you can smoke yourself off and still be able to see them through the smoke, even without any scans or digital threats. Valkyrie's tactical goes on cooldown depending on how many rockets that you've sent out. This wouldn't really matter in most cases because you still fire the whole thing anyways, but you can abuse this by cutting your rocket swarm short by popping a healing item just after activating. This gives you part of your cooldown back, but still allows you to zone out enemies, or maybe even get a stun by using one rocket. The higher up you place Fuse's ultimate, the larger the ring of fire will be. Getting a larger ring is useful unless you want to trap your enemies in one small place, as it will reveal any enemy inside of it. You can quickly and easily make your Fuse ultimate significantly larger by placing an evac tower and then popping your ultimate off the top of it. Ashe's ultimate can also be combined with the evac tower. While there isn't much you can do if you deploy an evac tower on the same level that you're standing on, placing a tower on the ground while you are standing on a high ground while making sure that the evac tower is as far away from you as possible might give you the right angle to place an Ashe ultimate on top of the tower, which then allows you to drop down on any enemies that might be below. This is like a new version of the out-of-bounds play and allows you to pull off an Ashe ult a lot more safely than just ulting straight into the enemy team, where you can throw grenades onto the enemy teams before taking the portal, landing on the unsuspecting enemies and cleaning up. And yeah, you heard it here first. While Bloodhound doesn't have any immediate mechanics, a not-so-known fact about their new passive is the number of arrows on the minimap after you've scanned a Raven is proportionate to the distance from the enemy. The fewer arrows there are, the closer the enemy is to the Raven. You can save valuable time on deploying Gibraltar's bubble by holding the bubble button as you are running. Keeping a bubble in your hand does still give you the same running speed as if you were holding a weapon, but it cuts down on how long it takes for you to deploy the bubble. And of course, repeatedly switching between holding your bubble and your hands leads to some pretty jolly good fun. Other than obviously healing you, you can actually use Lifeline's drone as makeshift cover in a firefight. The surprisingly large hitbox will eat bullets and is just about big enough to cover Lifeline's small frame. For even better results, incorporate dodges and strafes as you play behind the drone. There are plenty of mechanics that change how Mirage's decoys work, but the most underrated one definitely has to be opening your inventory. By opening your inventory, the decoys will start a looting animation, which can easily take your bamboozles to the next level. Revenant's Silence is a one-handed ability, meaning you can do other things while holding it, such as throwing grenades, firing weapons, or taking ziplines, and hitting the like button on the video. In addition to that, the silence actually flies in the exact same arc as a thermite grenade, meaning you can throw both the silence and the thermite grenade at the same time to get twice the amount of area denial for the effort of one throwable. As for Horizon, there are also quite a few small tricks, techniques, and mechanics that you can utilize with her to get the most out of her kit. One very underrated mechanic, if you want to even call it that, would be that if you want to catch an enemy taking a gravity cannon, you can actually throw your tactical right in front of it. This will intercept the enemy's flight path and turn them into a very easy kill. Octane's jump pad can be used in a multitude of ways, and one of the easiest to learn mechanics that give you a lot more control over the jump pad is the punch technique. By standing next to a jump pad and punching so that the lead up places you on top of the jump pad, you won't get any horizontal momentum off of the jump pad, meaning you can keep bouncing in the same place infinitely. You can also combine this with a strafe in any direction that you want as you are stepping onto the pad to jump in any direction that you like. Has this ever happened to you? What seems to be a weird bug is actually a very predictable interaction, and by knowing, you'll be able to abuse it to your heart's content. Exiting Wraith's portal will always put you where the portal is positioned, unless the position is too small for you to stand upright. As such, if you start the portal where you have to crouch, where it's too small to stand otherwise, anyone taking the portal will find themselves somewhere completely different than they thought that the portal would take them. Using your passive as a seer really slows you down, but don't worry, there's a great way to offset that slowdown, even if it's just for a quick scan on the fly. By initiating a run slide and then pulling up your passive as soon as you leave the ground, you'll be able to scan wherever you want to go while keeping some momentum. The game also allows you to pull off one bunny hop or so after landing before it starts to significantly slow you down. Sheila's mobile minigun is amazing, but firing the gun makes you slow and so predictable. But unlike Seer's passive, it does not slow you down if you go for the consecutive bunny hops. As such, you can start a side jump, start revving up your Sheila, and then keep revving or firing as you bunny hop around and circle around your enemies. They will not be able to track you, and even if they do, you just deal that much more damage than they possibly ever will, so you're turning them into some really easy kills. Now, Crypto's mechanic will be a little bit boring, but you know, it is Crypto. As for Crypto, you don't necessarily have to stay still in one position when going for your drone or scanning banners. Just throw your drone out as you are sliding down a hill. This lets you keep moving in one direction while still getting some value out of your drone. Unlike Loba's assets, this mechanic is small but still kind of useful. Loba can actually animation cancel her black market. Instead of doing the Mozambique throw animation and rendering you useless for a few seconds, after starting the black market, you can pop any type of healing item and then cancel it, followed by a switch to your weapon to be ready to deal with any enemies that may be approaching. If you're playing a door as a Newcastle, you can throw your tactical against the door so it clips through. This stops the enemies on the other side from being able to kick the door open, and it allows you to fully reset if necessary. Catalyst's Piercing Spike have an annoyingly large hitbox that is stupidly difficult to read for the enemy. If you're taking a fight as a Catalyst, throw the spikes underneath you and play from on top of them, as the 300 health point spikes will eat the majority of the damage that the enemy tries to put into you. Just because you can dash to Vantage's Echo, that doesn't mean you have to go for the double jump. By holding crouch on the way up, you will stop yourself from going for a double jump and instead land more or less underneath your Echo. This one might sound really weird, but if you're playing Maggie and your enemy is holding a door in front of you, you might want to drill the door itself. Because the drill doesn't deal too much damage to a door that it sticks, and most importantly, it not only forces your enemy off of playing the door, on account of the fire, but if they make the bad decision of sidestepping the same way that the door opens, you will be able to open the door after they step back and have the ouchie flames swing right in their face, blind them, and turn them into an easy kill. After you have locked on with Ballistic's Whistler, you don't need to keep your aim on the enemy after firing. It will still hit them if it's locked on and in the line of sight of the enemy. This means that if you fire a shot off to the side, it will actually curve and still hit the target as long as they're in the Whistler's line of sight. This can be expanded into you getting a lock-on with the Whistler, stepping behind your own cover and shooting around that corner, and it can also be applied to the enemy stepping behind cover, where you can bend the bullet and hit them anyways. And those were one mechanic for every legend. If you want more tips, you should definitely check out the video on the screen for one tip for every tactical. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace out.